Hello everyone, we are back with another session, the third week of basic drawing course. It's about forms and connection. So figure drawing has two important characteristics. The first one is gesture. The understanding of gesture is absolutely important. The second, the other side of the coin, I would say, is the structure, which is more about the geometry, the volumes, and the depth that we have to give to our figure drawings. So, as you can see, I chose a couple of references from Giambologna on the left, Rubens top right, and Benvenuto Cellini bottom right. Perseus, it's really famous, and you can see both sculptures in Florence from the Mannerist school period. They are amazing. That's why I chose them. There's a really nice understanding of movement and structure at the same time, and also anatomy. So this connection actually creates this beauty and this charm of these artworks. So let's get down to business and take a look at how we can introduce more structure, volume, a bit of three-dimensionality in our gesture drawings. Last time we did some quick sketches. They are quite flat. We were only focusing on movement. But on top of that, what we have to add is the anatomical structure of the body, which means the solid parts, head, ribcage, pelvis, and then some cubic or cylindrical forms for arms and legs, so on and so forth. So I start working on the gesture there we go. So here's the head, and then I see this direction of the torso, this way. So ribcage is always going forward, and then you have the pelvis. You have three movements actually. See, this is the midsection, and then you have pelvis. And then legs. And arms. Look at the simplicity of all these lines. I'm avoiding any detail. All right, the lower arm goes up. Okay, so what's next? Because I'll explain you this part of our work. But what comes next is the structure. Let me create another layer. I would start putting a circle for the skull, an oval shape for ribcage, and then here's the pelvis. Here's the direction of the legs. This is the clavicles. I will talk more about that, but it's absolutely necessary to put that there. Okay, so now we have these solid forms of anatomy: head, rib cage, and pelvis. What I can do next is connecting them . As you can see, looking also at the overlaps, at the same time I'm trying to keep that simple. I see all those muscles, but we don't have to, be worried about them, because we have to prioritize what we are trying to learn, which is the structure itself. All right, here we can add, for example, these wrapping lines to show the roundness, okay, of the legs. Here's the knee. You see, we are not copying the contours, we are building them. We are creating them. And that's a different story. Here we have the shoulders. We can add some of these complementary curves. You see where this arm is going? When you change the wrapping line, you are showing the foreshortening, you're adding the idea of depth and a bit of perspective to your work. All right. I'm not worried about details as always. Trying to keep it simple. There we go. This is the symmetry line of torso. Normally you would see that right in the center, but if it moves, it means that there is a change in the angle with which we're looking at the figure. If it goes left, it means that we are standing here on the right. If it's in the center, it means we are aligned with that. And if it goes on the right, it means that we are standing right here looking at the figure. So think about space perspective when you're doing any type of drawing. Alright, so you see how I connected head, ribcage, and pelvis together. Let me emphasize a bit on these overlaps. Maybe I can use black here. If you have more time, you can work on these complementary curves. There you go. Okay, you see how I can transform reference into something much simpler. And as you can see, I was focusing a lot on forms and their connection. Okay, so next time we want to do any type of exercise in figure drawing, try to focus on this aspect of it. Next time, in landmarks and proportions, I will introduce how to add boxes, for example, like this, on our figure drawings. That's another story, and it would help you a lot to understand the roundness and the volume of the human body, and don't see that as a flat object. And then it also creates the base for us to later on work on light and shadow, because if you have a clear idea of this box, basically, if you add the element of light, then you know where you're gonna have the shadow, where you're gonna have light, where you're gonna have halftones, and that's absolutely necessary in our work to create the illusion of depth and three-dimensionality. Okay, let's continue working on the next reference by Benvenuto Cellini. I see the neck going that way, then there's the shoulder, because you have this contrapposto. You have to be quite quick when you're doing gesture drawing. Then I add the head of Medusa here. All right. So let's add head, ribcage, and pelvis. Look at their direction. All right, and now I add the connection here. So let's connect them. You see that the direction of that line is going a bit out because it's a diagonal line. The arm is raised, so it changes a bit the gesture. And then we have chest muscle right here. And then from the neck to pelvis, you have this beautiful line. And I can also add a cylinder for the neck. All right. And here's the shoulders. Deltoid. We can add a bit of wrapping line here. That shows us the foreshortening. I did a couple of live drawings in Florence from these statues. I'm going to show you them later when I'm done with these demonstrations to provide you with some examples. All right. Let me zoom in a bit. Just working on the overlaps, trying to add more clarity to these lines. There you go. This is the latissimus dorsi that comes from the back. Okay, also let me finish defining better the legs. There's a really nice connection actually from this point on pelvis that goes through the leg like this, see? That you can use as a guide. Next week when we talk about landmarks, I will tell you the exact form of patella, the kneecap, and other bony parts on the body, and that will help you show better and in a preciser way their forms. All right. You can also play around a bit with the line quality. It's introducing some darker lines where it's needed, or different edges, soft edges, or even sharp edges. The trick is putting a soft edge like this, and right next to it, put a sharp edge, a bit darker, this way. Doing this, you see immediately you have this feeling that this form is rounded, you know? So use this trick when you need it. That's what I'm doing at the moment, actually. I want to introduce more roundness in my drawing by doing that. Okay. So, well, you saw how you can start with a simple gesture and then add other forms and just connect them, working on overlaps, the line quality, you know, till you get a really simple yet clear figure drawing. and that's the result we are looking for. All right, let's stop here. Next week I will talk landmarks and proportions, and then the 5th week part-to-part approach. Okay, take care and see you in the next week. Bye-bye.